Hi everyone, I'm Lloyd from the Real Estate Helpers.
And I'm Nick. In this video, we are going to show you the best way to prepare your home for a successful property sale.
It doesn't matter if you sell with or without using a real estate agent, there are three key areas that you must prepare to make your sale run smoothly and therefore give yourself the best chance of getting the highest price. I call these three areas the 3 Ps. They are paperwork, presentation and pricing. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's have a heart-to-heart. Selling your home is an emotional experience, and sometimes, no matter how smoothly things flow, selling will be stressful. So before you start preparing your property for sale, the first thing that you need to prepare is you.
Are you ready to sell? And why are you selling? What's the real reason? Because the reason must always be that selling will improve your life in some way. Just think about it. You might say that you're selling because you want a bigger home, but you don't just want a bigger home. You want the extra happiness that a bigger home will bring to you and your family.
You might say that you are selling because you want to move to a different area, but what I think you really want is the improvement to your lifestyle that living there will bring you. And I know some of you won't necessarily have happy reasons for selling. For instance, you might be forced to sell because of debt, divorce, or death, and selling may not necessarily be a happy time. But imagine the relief you will feel once you're able to move on with your life. That peace of mind is priceless.
Selling your home is rarely just about the money. Sure, money is important, but money is just a vehicle to get you where you want to go. So don't lose sight of the big picture. Lots of people get hung up on getting a certain price. Don't be chained down to a specific amount. Keep the end in mind. Look guys, I've seen people refuse to sell out of pride over just a few $1,000s, and what is really tragic is how much happier these people would have been if they had just moved on with their lives.
It's natural to want a high price for your home. Most people want too much. In fact, it's so common there's even a name for it. Have a look at this. It's called the endowment effect. Basically, we all have a natural tendency to place an unrealistically high value on something to which we are personally attached. And the sale of a family home is the perfect example of this. Just remember, the highest price in today's market may not be the price that you want, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still the highest price. So instead of thinking just about the money, think about how you will feel once you're in your new home. When you receive an offer from the buyer, the question that you should ask yourself is this: does this offer get me where I want to go?
Once you have made the decision to sell, it's important that you commit to it. If you do, we will show you how to get the highest price. But a lot of this is up to you. It's your home, so you need to take responsibility for it. Going back to the 3 Ps, the first area in which you need to prepare is paperwork. Now the laws vary from state to state, so you need to call a solicitor or a conveyancer and ask them to prepare the necessary documents for you.
It's really important that you do this first. The last thing that you want to happen is that you have a buyer and you can't sell them your home because you haven't got the paperwork. Next comes presentation. You want buyers to fall in love with your home. The trick is to make it look as attractive as possible without spending too much money. Now, I'm not a landscape gardener or an interior designer, but I've been involved in lots of real estate sales. I know what works. Here are a few tips that you can use to maximize your selling price.
First impressions create permanent opinions, so the appeal from the street is especially important. Mow your lawn, mulch your garden, and add some red tambark or potted flowers to brighten things up a bit. Buy a good quality doormat that says welcome. Buyers need to arrive and think, this feels like a home.
Yeah, inside your home should feel like a home. It has to be warm and appealing. But this is not an excuse to have all your stuff everywhere. Get some boxes and remove all your clutter and your bulky furniture. Sure, you might be a little bit less comfortable without some of your things, but your home will look a lot bigger. Next, clean everything. Pay particular attention to the kitchens and bathrooms. Remember, dull houses get dull prices, so make your home sparkle.
When it comes to the interior of your home, something that is often overlooked is the touchy subject of smells. Pets and spicy food are the main culprits here. While familiar to you, these smells can really turn buyers off. So open the windows and air out your home. Put the pet bowls outside and buy some scented candles or air freshener.
Nick's right. The little things can make the big difference. But what about the big things, like renovations? Are they really worth all the hassle? In some cases, it is worth spending a few $1,000s on improvements. Other times, you may only need to spend a few hundred. Before spending any money though, you must carefully consider the return you'll get. If you spend $5,000, you should get $20,000 back. If you need some help with this, just give us a call on 1-300-HELPER.
Fix anything broken that will jump out at buyers, like missing doorknobs, broken lights, or cracked windows. Yes, it can take some elbow grease to get your home looking its best, but the payoff can be huge, and smart sellers know that the reward is worth the effort.
This is Vicky's story. I met Vicky after her home had passed in at auction. Now, there are a number of things that her agent was doing wrong, but apart from that, as soon as I saw her home, I knew exactly what Vicky needed to do to get her property sold. I said, Vicky, you need to invest in some specific improvements here. Initially, Vicky didn't want to do the work because it was going to be a big hassle. After all, she had a family with 2 young children, and I'm always hesitant about spending my clients' money. But in this case, I insisted. I knew from experience the payoff would be huge. Fortunately, Vicky took my advice. She did the work. She spent just under $5,000. And 4 weeks later, her property had sold for $80,000 more than the passed-in price. Now, this is not an isolated case. I see it all the time. Many home sellers lose thousands of dollars because their home is poorly prepared.
Once you have your home looking its best, you must understand its true market value. This will help you with pricing, because if you price too low, you risk underselling your property. But if you price too high, you could also undersell.
Your best chance of getting the highest price will be in the first 30 days. So setting the right asking price is crucial. Right now, there are a limited number of buyers looking in your area, and I call this the buyer pool. When your property first comes for sale, the buyers in the pool will know. So if you price correctly, you should get an initial flood of activity. If your home doesn't sell early, you'll need to wait for new buyers to drip into the pool. For this reason, the best offers usually come early, because early on, there is the greatest chance of competition. Buyers are more inclined to offer a higher price if they feel there are other people competing. So if you overprice, you will undersell, because if you start too high, your property will be ignored by the best buyers at the most critical time. And even if you do later reduce the price, your home might have the stigma of being a lemon.
Now, there are 3 ways you can go about establishing the true value of your home. Get a registered valuation, do it yourself, or get agents to appraise your property. Now let's take a closer look at registered valuations. They usually cost between $500 and $800, but they are a wise investment because they are the best way to find the true value of your home.
In my experience, most people don't see a registered valuation as an investment. They see it as a cost. And this can be a huge mistake. Terry Ryder is a well-known property analyst and author. In his book, Selling Without Agents, he talks about the cost of a registered valuation. He says not spending that amount simply to save money is the worst type of false economy. He goes on to say that the cost of not being able to sell your home because it's priced too high, or the cost of selling your home for less than it's worth, is far greater than a few $100s you'll spend on a professional valuation.
Another way you can price your property is by doing it yourself. It's important though to only do this as a backup to a registered valuation. It is not a replacement. Find sales results in your area. Don't look at the properties for sale, look at the properties that have actually sold. You can usually find these in the newspaper or sometimes by searching online. They can be a bit tricky to get, so if you're having trouble, send me an email to nick@helpsell.com.au and I'll help you out. It's best to involve a friend here. Get their opinion. Ask them to be frank with you about which sold properties compare closely to yours. And make sure that you consider the location, the size, and the condition of the properties which have sold. A third way you can price your property is to get some real estate agents to give you an appraisal. But before you do this, please stop. This could be the worst way to value your home. The reason I say this is because poorly skilled real estate agents have a vested interest in telling you a high price because they want to win your business. They, in some cases, will tell you exactly what you want to hear in order to get you to sign an agreement with them.
So now you know everything you need to know to prepare your home for a great result. As we said before, it does take a bit of effort, but it'll give you a huge advantage. I'm Lloyd from the Real Estate Helpers. If you need anything at all, or if you feel that we've left something out, please email me at lloyd at helpsell.com.au.
Don't forget me too, I'm Nick. You can email me anytime to Nick, that's NIC, at helpsell.com.au. You can also call either of us anytime on 1300 HELPER. That's 1300 435737. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.